I think I had my mic muted, but now it's working. Yeah, there we go. Now we're good. All right, now we're good. We're live on time today. We're making history for Week 18, the final week of the season. And we've got some big games here with the playoff picture really heating up. What's good, SGYT? What's good, C-Mill? Welcome in, gentlemen. So the two games that we're watching in full today are... Let's check. I assume the poll hasn't changed. It is not. We're watching the Eagles play against the Cowboys, and then we're watching the Rams play against the Orbits. The only games on the poll were the ones that mattered for both teams. I wanted to pick games where everybody had something to play for in terms of a playoff spot, because there's a lot of games where only one team has something to play for, or none, for that matter. Why don't we start with simcasting the games that don't matter at all? We'll start with the Chargers and the Steelers. And for the simcast games, we'll use the home team to make things quick and easy. So the Chargers have already clinched the AFC West. They will be the 4 seed, whereas the Steelers are not making the playoffs because they have 10 losses. What is good, SG? Oh, I already said SGYT. But what's good, Candy? Welcome in, buddy. The Chargers are playing all of their backups today for what it's worth, so we'll see if they can still win. What's good, Little Jaw? What's good, Denmark? Chargers looking good so far at the second unit. Kevin Shasha Jr. leading the way, and the Chargers are cooking. Look at them go. They're up by 20. Steelers score right at the end, but it won't matter. The Chargers' backups continue their win streak as they defeat the Steelers. The Chargers will finish the year 10-7. And will still be the 4 seed, as they would have been no matter what. Kevin Shasha played quite well. I mean, it wasn't like great, but he was solid. And KJ Jefferson was also solid. Not really his fault that they lost. Troy Franklin, good final game of his rookie season, as he's certainly in the race for the Rookie of the Year award. Welcome on in, MP. Sim Mexico next, please, Papa. We're doing all the games that don't matter first. So, Mexico's game matters for Mexico. Kevin auditioned for the starting job, and I would say he passed the test with flying colors. The next game that does not matter for either team is the Panthers and the Desperados. The Panthers need to lose for draft positioning. I guess Austin technically does too. But Carolina's projected to have probably a top 3 pick. The NFC West was good in OFL 22. Guess not this year. I mean, it's not bad this year. I wouldn't say it's like one of the better divisions, but they're probably going to have 2 playoff teams. The teams at the bottom are dookie buns, but the 2 teams at the top could make a run in the playoffs. I'm old enough to remember when the Austin Desperados were 3-0, and it seemed like they were going to be good. That feels like forever ago. They have not followed up on their 3-0 start, although it looks like they're taking command here. They're up 28-3. Panthers are slowly but surely coming back. It's probably going to be too little too late. Yeah, this game looks like it is over. So Austin drops a 50 burger on the Panthers. They win at 52-16. The Panthers finish the year 2-15 with a top 3 pick coming, while the Desperados finish 8-9, 3rd place in their division. Kyler Murray, not bad, 6 touchdowns. Quinn Ewers, not great. Could Carolina draft a quarterback this year after drafting Ewers in the first round last year? Is this game a scoregami? It could be. Could anyone check that? 52-16. That does seem like a scoregami. DC the stream. If everybody else is down, I'm down. The Desperados have scored 50-plus points 2 weeks in a row. Yikes. Next, we have the Steamers heading to Las Vegas to face off against the Raiders. I feel like the Raiders as a whole might be a Meme of the Year candidate, which, by the way, the award ballot will come either tonight or tomorrow. So stay tuned. It's not a scoregami. Huh. That score can't have happened too many times. But I guess it's not the first. The Raiders are also playing for draft positioning. They could have... Oh, it is a scoregami. Yay, we had a scoregami. We did it here in Week 18. So far, this game looks pretty close. Raiders take the lead. Nope, Steamers take it right back. It's actually kind of a close game. Raiders look to have the edge, and the Raiders win it. 17-14. So the Raiders get a win to end what was a disastrous season for them. As for the Steamers, they will finish 7-10. Good enough for third place in the division. Joe Mama. Hector Estrada V was not bad. Massage Man was not particularly good. Got to stop by the store real quick. When are we doing our game? That is a good question. Well, we're doing the super unimportant games first, and then I don't have a preference of which game we watch first. Do we really want the Raiders to have a higher pick? Well, clearly the Raiders don't, considering they just won. It's me, Alexei Smirnov. Welcome in, my friend. All right, who do we have next? London, San Francisco would be the last one of the games that don't matter for anybody. Can Tyler Bass win a game at quarterback? Simcast 2 game. Well, it looks like we're only going to Simcast 1. And then we can do your game. That's fine. The Offensive Rookie of the Year leaderboard isn't going to change until we sim the week. So whatever it was last week, it'll still be now, I think. Although, again, the games awards don't matter. Ours do. All right, let's go Tyler Bass. I want my draft pick to be as high as possible. This is the last time I get to prey on London's downfall. Unless I get one of their picks in the future with... Oh, my God. Whoa, that was fast. They scored 2 touchdowns within, like, a second. Come on, San Fran. I need you here. No, that's not good. That's not good. Yeah, I don't like our chances here, folks. Looks like London's going to take this one. Wow, they are really pouring it on. London outscores the Niners 48-3 in the final, quarter. So the Monarchs finished 7-10. That's still probably a top 10 pick for us. Or 48-16. Yeah, no, 48-3 in the last 3 quarters. I was right. So the Niners, in the Tyler Bass experience, do not win a game with him at quarterback, which I guess is what they wanted. Oh, so it'll show, the kicker stats at quarterback in this screen, but not, the actual box score screen. Only 3 interceptions, kind of low for him. That's just one more than Jaron Hall had. So the Niners are going to probably pick in the top 5, while the reigning number 1 seed Monarchs wrap up a very disappointing season for them. Drake May on the ballot, almost certainly. I would say there's 4 guys at this point up for the award. So mathematically, there's a good chance he's on the list. I would say it's down to the 2 quarterbacks and the 2 receivers. Yes, the Monarchs have Monty and Herbert. And let me show you something here with Monty real quick. He's been pretty good this year. 24 touchdowns. Hopefully he does that in real life this year. That'd be nice. But yeah, let's get to the Eagles game here. So this game is very important for both teams. Siri, give me a number between 581 and 582. 582. We will use the Cowboys. So this game is important for both teams for a number of reasons. For Dallas, if they win, they clinch the number 1 seed in the NFC. The lowest I think they can go is 3 because they are, I believe, tied with both Seattle and Mexico. But Dallas has whatever tiebreaker over them. Dallas just beat Mexico last week, and I don't think Seattle played any of them. So Dallas controls their own fate here. The Eagles basically control their own fate too. We have 4 wild card teams in the NFC with 10 wins. The Eagles, the Cougars, the Rams, and who's the other? The Dreadnoughts. So there's 4 teams facing each other for wild card spots with 10 wins. The Eagles are one of them. And the Eagles, if they win, they're going to get one of those spots. If they lose, then they will be big fans of whoever plays the Desperados. I think it's Mexico. Give us the dark green. I know Nick isn't here. He's busy, so I guess we have to pick his jerseys for him. The dark green jersey isn't like the regular home jersey and the away pants, or the home pants, or the alternate pants. Where are the black pants? There we go. You want this? We're not doing the Seahawks and Nighthawks yet because that game matters for Seattle. And then for Dallas, what do we want to do with Dallas? We can go with the regular homes. I feel like the blue and green probably wouldn't be a great idea. We could do the Color Rush. We could do one of their alternate classics. So yeah, do we want home or do we want the throwbacks? If you're a fan of Seattle or Mexico City, you're an Eagle fan today. If you're the Cougars, the Rams, or the Dreadnoughts, you're a Cowboys fan today. Throwbacks, home, throwback. I'm rooting for the throwback, which is, well, the Color Rush is kind of like the throwback. I would almost want to see the Color Rush because it's white, whereas the regular throwback is darker. And since the Eagles are wearing dark, yeah, it's basically the same thing. If you're a Chargers fan, it's a big W regardless. Yeah, us in the AFC are just rooting for chaos. Yeah, everyone seems to want the Color Rush. Okay, you guys know ball. All right, our first watch game of Week 18, the Eagles and the Cowboys. We already kind of went over why this game is important for both teams, but to rehash, Dallas gets the 1 seed with a win. The Eagles get a playoff spot with a win. There's a good shot the Eagles get a playoff spot even if they lose, but they control their own fate. So obviously they are, they're obviously hoping they can punch their ticket themselves. And then with Dallas, I would be willing to bet that one of Seattle or Mexico wins this week. So chances are if Dallas loses, they're playing wildcard weekend. If you're an AFC fan, you're rooting for Octi's demise. Apparently that's the case with everybody. Well, I'll be back in 3 minutes. Hopefully nothing happens. I'm prepared for like a Nick Chubb 70-yard touchdown. Steelers and Steamers being in the same division is a troll. It's almost as big of a troll as them being at the bottom of the same division together. Losers. Look at him fighting for yards. Doesn't get the first down, though. That was a good play after the catch. And then on 3rd and inches, here's a nice run up the middle. That is not Nick Chubb. That's Lynn Bowden. I was going to say, who has a number in the 80s in the backfield? But Lynn Bowden would make sense. because he was a receiver and he is now a running back. So that would explain a lot. Now that we have the game, can you read my chats now? I could read that one. You have 3 questions. Oh boy, speaking of Dallas, there's a 57-yard touchdown. Nickinator said he was going to be... Wait, why are the Eagles wearing white pants? I mean, oh well, it's kind of too late. But why? We did not give them white pants. Doesn't matter, though. Dallas is quickly on the board. Was he in? It kind of looked like he did have the ball over. Even though he was tackled in the field of play, I think he was in. Has anyone been 16-1 before? I don't think so. Yeah, no. The Bills have an opportunity to break the wins record. So they had that to play for. He didn't look fully in, but I think he got the ball over. I think that's why they called it a touchdown. Here come the Eagles. Not a great start for them defensively. Their offense is hoping for a little bit more luck with Bryce Young, the second-year quarterback out of the University of Alabama. Has anyone had a Tom Brady late pick into a superstar? I would imagine we've had late picks with high dev traits before who have played quarterback. I'm trying to think of like a good example. Is anyone going from pick 2 to winning their division? I would think so. I mean, in real life, the Jaguars went from pick 1 to winning their division last year. Cordell Banks, that's a good example. We didn't really get to see much of his career because I think we only saw him for a year or two, but that is a good example. Wait, how does Dallas have the ball? I looked down for 30 seconds and they turned the ball over. What the hell? Not exactly a good start for the Eagles. Okay, Bryce Young was intercepted on the first play of the drive by 20. Is that Jalen Johnson? No, that's Greg Newsome. Who had... Did he have 2 interceptions against us, or was that Sauce? Newsome, I know, had the pick 6. I think Sauce was the one who had 2. Yeah, I don't think Nickinator should want to come back. Kevin asked if our voting for end-of-the-year awards determine dev increases or if Madden controls the devs. So usually Madden controls the devs, but I feel like it'd be a good idea to change that and make it our voting, so our voting like actually matters other than like bragging rights. So that's probably what we're going to do this year. Dallas makes a kick. They lead 10-0. Not a bad start for the Cowboys. Do we combine conferences for Rookie of the Year? Yes, we do. There's going to be 3 players. They can be from any conference. Am I allowed to vote? Anyone can vote. You can be a coach, player, spectator, whomever, but anyone's allowed to vote. There could be someone in the server who has not been to a single stream, and they're technically allowed to vote. You said on the polls, Houston would clinch their division. Do I not have the tiebreaker over them? I don't think you do. I think the Oilers have the head-to-head, or they're a game ahead. I think it's the head-to-head, though. But I believe they do have the tiebreaker. Can you simcast our game? We're simcasting every game because it's week 18, so you'll see your game simcasted. Should we add a most improved player? I think the problem with that is it's kind of like time-consuming to determine who was bad and now who was good. I feel like in the NBA that's like a lot easier. Because in the NFL, there's 52 players on a team. In the NBA, there's 7 guys on a roster who are like key players. As Amon-Ra St. Brown is hurt. This game has been a total disaster for the Eagles. I was going for 3 minutes. Yeah, it was bad. Dallas scored a 50-something yard touchdown. Bryce Young threw a pick. It's been a disaster. We should discriminate more. That sounds like a great idea. Why would CJ Stroud win the offensive most improved? I feel like it should go to a player who's like legitimately like really good. Stroud isn't bad. He's a top 20 starting quarterback, but I don't know if Justin Fields would be a candidate. His numbers are good. I remember looking at the Ravens last week. His numbers were good. Never mind. I was about to say they weren't good, but I'm wrong. Portland should have to give up a 6th rounder or something for being so bad. Imagine if we took away draft picks, not for tanking, but for just sucking. You were awful. Here, we're going to yeet your pick. Jaeger Smirnov for most improved. Was Diggs good last year? I would assume so. It is Stephon Diggs. C.J. Stroud beat the Seahawks single-handedly. He is one person, though. I mean, that's a good win. But he's also had some bad games. Did you see who the Texans signed? I did. Shaq Griffin. That's a nice addition to the secondary. Get another outside corner to pair with Staley. Houston's secondary is not that bad. I think there's a world where that team wins, like, between 6 and 8 games this year. Which in the AFC South, who knows what that can do for you. So that's like the one thing with like giving away their draft pick, even though I feel like they overpaid to get Will Anderson. Their pick might not be as high as people think, and it's not like they're going to miss out on a quarterback because they just drafted one. Has any created player been in more than one OFL? Well, there's a new Hector Estrada seemingly every year. So technically him. As CMC loses about 6. Thoughts on Bryce Young? Like in real life? In real life, I think he's the best quarterback in the draft. I think Carolina made the right pick. He may be tiny, but other than that, he checks off pretty much all the boxes. And here he's pretty good too. Although not so much today specifically, so far. I view it as a CJ Stroud trade. I mean, that's fair, but like, given that, let's say Houston never traded up and they only picked one player, it would have been CJ Stroud. Because he's the quarterback. And if you feel confident enough in the quarterback to pick him to begin with, then he's your guy. So my viewing is they would have picked CJ Stroud no matter what. And thus they didn't need to give up all that for Will Anderson, who I think is a spectacular player. And in a vacuum, I think Houston made the 2 correct player choices. But I feel like they shouldn't have given up all that to get Will, because they gave up a lot. They gave up the pick that we eventually got, which was Gibbs, and the pick that we got, which was Laporta, along with the first next year. That's a lot. Nice throw. That's a touchdown. The Eagles are back in the game. Speaking of back in the game, Amon-Ra St. Brown has returned from his injury. How many seasons of OFL 23 left? Probably 3. At least that's the plan. So how is Joe Burrow good? Who said Joe Burrow was good? Joe Burrow's, I mean, he's played well over the last like 5 weeks, but for the most part this year, he's been a turnover pastry chef. So even though I think Dallas might be the team to beat, I don't think like Joe Burrow's like some MVP candidate. It's a franchise edge. Yeah, but like even so, next year's class is loaded with top-end talent. And you could have still kept that 12th pick and picked like Lucas Van Ness or something. Obviously, he's not as good as Will Anderson, but I mean, he's still a good player. So it's not that like picking Will Anderson was a bad decision, but more so I wouldn't have given up all that much. Is there going to be a 24? I assume you mean an OFL 24. Probably. We should do 2012 OFL roster before Madden 24 comes out. If we do a retro OFL, it would replace regular OFL. We're not just going to like do like one thing quick and then move over. Laviska is the most versatile running back. Let me introduce you to my friend Deebo Samuel. He might have him beat. As the Eagles get the stop. Philadelphia is playing a lot better. Van Ness was the most Packers pick ever. Yeah, but it was still a good pick. He is definitely a Green Bay Packer type of pass rusher. But when they made that pick, everybody in the server was like laughing at Green Bay for a second. Like, oh, they made a terrible pick. And I was excited for a good like 20 seconds. But like Lucas Van Ness was not a bad pick. Yeah, they didn't pick a receiver, but they picked 3 of them on day 2. So it's fine. Imagine you tanked all year just to have your pick taken away. Hey, Danny, you tanked? We're going to yeet you from your first round pick. Van Ness and Gary could be pretty nasty if Van Ness develops, which He profiles similarly to Rashawn Gary, who has obviously developed quite well. In an ideal world, they don't pay Gary and let him go. That'd be great. The most Packers pick ever, like they haven't owned their division. I think it's that much of an insult. Lucas Van Ness is the prototypical Packer pass rusher, but not in like a bad way. We got to start. Yeah, you guys have actually started to play a lot better. Yeah, Gary's contract is up this coming year, and they have paid a lot of guys. If Jordan Love plays well, they're going to have to pay him. I would assume they're going to work something out with Rashawn Gary. He's too good not to pay. But I hope I'm wrong. I would love for him to be out of the division. Or better yet, in the division, but back at home, where he belongs. And where he should have been all along instead of drafting a goddamn tight end in the top 10. But that's besides the point. So the Cowboys will get the ball back. Even though they haven't played as well since their hot start, they're still looking strong. Top 10 tight end. Yes, he's a top 5 to 10 tight end, but it was still a bad pick. He can be a good player, and the pick itself can be bad. Both things can be true. At the time, it was a bad pick. Now it's a bad pick. But he's a good player. Pitts was top 5. Hawkinson was... Oh, who we picked? We picked T.J. Hawkinson at 8, and it was not a great pick. That's what I was referring to. He was not a top 5 tight end with us. No, he's been better since the trade. I think the trade worked out really well for both teams. Because we got a good haul, and Minnesota got a good player. So, it worked out. Who is the worst OFL coach that ever coached for more than, like, one season? I mean, record-wise, it would be you. But, like, overall... I don't know. That's a good question. The top 3 tight ends of the NFL weren't drafted early. That's true, because Travis Kelce was picked in the 3rd round, George Kittle was picked in the 5th round, and Sam Laporta was picked at 34. So none of those guys were first-rounders. Wink, wink. Are we simcasting your game? Yes, we are simcasting every game today, Mr. Littlejaw. I was referring to Mark Andrews. Well, I'm referring to Sam Laporta because he clears. But yeah, Mark Andrews was... I think Mark Andrews was a 3rd rounder. Darren Waller was picked late. Dallas Goedert was picked in the middle of the 2nd round. So yeah, this is why you don't invest high draft picks into tight ends. I think Kyle Pitts is an exception to the rule, and Brock Bowers will be an exception to the rule next year because those guys are unicorns. But like, this is why I never got on board with like Michael Mayer or not Sam Laporta, or Dalton Kincaid being like a top half of the 1st round guy. Wrap my brain around the trade. We were thinking taking Stroud at 2 eliminates Tennessee from moving up to 3, and take Will Anderson because we have a bunch of picks. Yeah, since I guess the Texans wanted both, the obvious choice would have been to pick Stroud first, because there were going to be a bunch of teams, likely the Titans included, calling to get 3 from the Cardinals. So this way, the Texans guarantee they had their quarterback, and pick 3 costs a little bit less. So their process of making the trade was smart, and the 2 picks were the correct 2 picks in my opinion. The only problem I have is I feel like they overpaid. But other than that, I think they handled it well. To be fair, Pitts was a bad pick for the Falcons because they don't use him. Yes, my keeper fantasy team knows that all too well. But I think Kyle Pitts is too talented not to figure it out. We should trade Trey McBride for a first. That sounds a lot easier said than done. At least Houston still is a first. That is true, but Cleveland could be good. They've had a quietly pretty good offseason. They just got Darius Smith, yesterday? That team could be good if Deshaun Watson, who I think is going to play well this year. I feel like Watson has gotten disrespected in QB rankings. Even though you don't have to like the guy, but you have to realize that he's good. He played better as last year went along. How many keepers are we doing? I have not figured that out, but we're probably gonna start talking about that pretty soon because we might want to start doing that within the somewhat near future. Did you hear my plan for 24? I did not. Yeah, I didn't see it. Do you want to say it again? Are the Jets good this season? In OFL, no. In real life, yeah. Fumble! And it's picked up by Dallas. Did I not trade you Sparks? No. You ended up keeping Sparks. I have 3 wide receivers on my roster. Matt Corral is my wide receiver 6. I'm starting Josh Rosen if he's in the game. He probably will be, I would think. Oh, he's down. That's not a fumble. His knee was down, and his arm with the ball was down. The reason why the ball came out was because of how his arm hit the ground. So that's not a fumble. Yeah, they're going to review it and reverse it. I'd take Bryce Young over Justin Jefferson and Patrick Mahomes. All right, you do that, bud. Oh, that was his other arm that was down. I thought it was his arm with the ball. Still, he's down. It doesn't matter. Josh Rosen apparently was on the Vikings. Since when? I didn't know Josh Rosen was on the Vikings. I'm drafting Matt Corral in OFL 24 for sure. Well, that's fine. I'm going to get Anthony Richardson anyway. He's going to be a beast in Madden next year. If you had to start your NFL franchise with one player that isn't a quarterback, who would you start it with? That's a very good question. So I would have to look at the positions of high positional value. I would say anywhere on the defensive line, offensive tackle, and wide receiver would be the big 3. Corner shortly behind, but ideally a lineman. So I would say a young pass rusher or a young offensive tackle. If I had to pick, I would probably say Micah Parsons. But Myles Garrett works, Nick Bosa works. On the offensive line, somebody like a Tristan Wirfs, even a Penei Sewell, unbiasedly. Can't go wrong with Justin Jefferson because I think wide receiver is a pretty valuable position, and he is pretty damn good, and he's quite young. I'd start it with Aiden O'Connell. The question was non-quarterbacks. Aiden O'Connell is not eligible for the question. The Eagles made the field goal, by the way, so now it's 13-10. If you could have any OFL player of all time on the real-life Lions, I would pick Alexei Smirnov, and I would not think twice. I'll make Aiden a receiver. So instead of picking like an actually good receiver like Justin Jefferson, you'll just pick Aiden O'Connell and move him to receiver. Can you please share the logic with that? I'm curious to hear what you have to say here. What about Dan? Dan was good, but Smirnov was better. But Dan is high on the list. But Prime Smirnov was different. Do I think Kevin Shasha is going to be good? I mean, he was like solid in his first 3 starts, so he could be good. No one in the NFL, not one person would hire you. And to be fair, I don't think anyone in the NFL would hire any of us at this point because none of us are qualified. Except for me, I have 4 rings. I can do the Klay Thompson thing where he holds up his hand to show off his 4 rings. Whenever I mention that I have 4 championships, I'm just being Klay Thompson. Jets interviewee legend Aiden O'Connell. Also a Lion interviewee legend. I think we kind of liked him. What about from OFL coaches? Who would you have on the real-life Lions team? Probably me. I think I would trust myself the most. The Eagles get the stop. Imagine if they take the lead before halftime after all of this. Any tanking team would hire me. That's a good point. I heard Arizona might be calling. Tampa Bay might be calling too. You can't say yourself. Oh, well, I don't think I trust any of you guys. I'm available to be a GM. I'm going to Old Dominion to manage in sports management. Does that mean you're currently qualified to take Brad Holmes' job? When will the team be open? I want to go 0-52. Well, MP is first on the waiting list, and it seems like we have an idea of where he's going to go. So we'll try to figure out if there's any jobs we might open up in the offseason or whatnot, and then you would probably be next on the list because you are pretty active, so you've hit the qualifications. I can replace the Niners GM. You would probably draft better than him. Their drafts in the last 3 years have been awful. They've had some good picks recently, but overall they are not good at drafting, which is weird. But Hector Estrada, Duke University, go team. That was awful, almost as awful as your spelling of the word awful. I would have paid Nick Bosa. That's crazy that they haven't paid him. I didn't even realize that. He's going to make a whole lot of money. Danny, we're not talking about the OFL Niners. We're talking about the real Niners. Yeah, John Lynch can't really draft. He's had some good picks here and there. Brock Purdy, for example, was a good pick. He's found guys like Kittle, Debo. Can't give him too much credit for Bosa, but he picked Bosa. Dre Greenlaw was a good pick. Obviously, Fred Warner. Brandon Ayuk was a good use of a first-rounder. But other than that, pretty much all their other picks suck. I mean, picking a running back in the third round in back-to-back years to have neither of them play, not the best strategy. As Dallas misses the kick to end the first half. Who gets the ball? I think you do. Yeah, I would have thought they would have paid Nick Bosa too, but now that I think about it, I don't think they have. But they will. He's too good not to pay. He just won the Defensive Player of the Year. Right? Did he win or did Micah Parsons win? I think Bosa won. I thought it should have been Chris Jones, but that's besides the point. We don't need to see the scores, EA, because there is no scores. All the picks suck except for a ton of good ones. I said 6 or 7. You need more than 6 or 7 good picks within a 6-year span. That's not enough. Brett Holmes can have 6 good picks in 1 year, let alone a bunch of years. And most of those picks were high draft picks anyway. You should hit on your high draft picks in the NFL. You're not going to bat 1,000, but more often than not, your first-round picks should be quality starters at the very least, which they have been for San Francisco for the most part, but they have also drafted guys like Javon Kinlaw early. And Trey Lance is still a wild card. And Mike McGlinchey's off the roster after 5 years. So, there you go. Look at Howie. Yeah, Howie's good at every position except for wide receiver, for the most part. Yeah, he drafted Devontae Smith, but he was also by far, A, the best receiver on the board, and B, he just won the Heisman Trophy. So it was kind of hard to miss on him. Unless you're the Titans drafting Isaiah Wilson, who played a single-digit snap count in his entire career. That's crazy. In the first round. Single-digit snaps. Why draft another receiver when you can just trade for A.J. Brown? Exactly. Why use a lottery ticket on a guy who could be A.J. Brown or just get A.J. Brown? I got a franchise quarterback and franchise receiver. Well, Kevin's only played 3 games. Let's not jump the gun. But yeah, Troy Franklin is pretty good. He's a dog. Is Little, I assume you mean Little Ja, a good or a bad coach? We'll put it this way. In 2 seasons, I don't think his team has won more than 5 games. Speaking of A.J. Brown, Isaiah Wilson. The Titans drafting in the first round over the last, 6 or 7 years has also been pretty dreadful. There's a reason why they fired John Robinson. Even though he wasn't, terrible, he wasn't good. Went 19-49. That's more than I thought. Good for you. I thought it was less wins. Yeah, let's go back on the Titans and see their recent picks. Treylon Burks. Jury's still out, but it could have been better. There are better receivers that they could have picked. I always thought George Pickens was better than him. I now think Christian Watson's better than him. 2021, Caleb Farley, disaster. Mainly because of injuries, but still not good. 2020, Isaiah Wilson. Need I say more? Jeffrey Simmons the year before was really good. He's a stud. Who did they get in 2018? I don't remember. If I don't remember, that's probably not a good thing. Oh, they got Rashad Evans that year. Not great. 2017, Corey Davis in the top 5. No. Adoree Jackson. Not awful, but not great. So, point remains. Since 2017, they've had one legitimately good first-round pick. Top 10 most valuable players in the NFL. Mahomes, Parsons, Bosa, Jettas. I feel like Josh Allen and the quarterback should be higher. Yeah, I don't know about Bijan at 10. I'm higher on Bijan than just about anybody, but I don't know about 10. I feel like the quarterback should be higher. Like, Joe Burrow single-handedly turned around the entire Bengals organization. Parsons above TJ Watt is fine. I mean, I guess I'd probably say Watt might be a little bit more valuable. But, like, they're on the same wavelength. When the Titans picked up Malik Willis, it was a pick of all time. Yes, it was. And Malik Willis has played games in the NFL, yes. Injuries don't count as a bailout when you know he's injury prone. That's a good point. Because the thing with Caleb Farley when he came out was the medical. And through 2 seasons, the medical has been a problem. So, it's not like it just happened spontaneously. We knew it was a possibility, and it has come to fruition. You just said you'd start your franchise with Micah. Yeah, but the question was I would start my franchise with which non-quarterback. So I like if I were to pick Joe Burrow or Micah Parsons, I'm picking Joe Burrow. I would pick Micah over TJ Watt because he's younger, not because he's better. I mean, in terms of talent, they're both equally like fantastic. Simcast and force the Eagles win. Like TJ and Micah, in terms of their value, is pretty equal. The thing that like separates them. Yeah, maybe I wouldn't pick TJ over Micah. I would say in terms of value to their team, they're pretty much equal. But I would pick Micah to start my franchise with because he's like 6 years younger. Titans are talking about Willis not making the 53. I wonder what they could get in a trade for him. Can't be more than like a 5th. But I think somebody would be willing to take a shot. Minnesota. And the same goes for Matt Corral as well. Carolina doesn't need him. Back to work. Hopefully you don't have some drunk guy yelling at me today. That sounds fun. Might go real Florida on this time. Kevin Shasha, known Florida man. Let's say there's this girl, right? Would you date her? That's kind of a vague question. I know nothing about this person. The Falcons will be kind of interesting, but they already have a young quarterback. I almost rather like a team with an older quarterback like Minnesota, who's actively shown that they're probably looking to get a new one. Will Levis' ceiling is Kyle Trask. Will Levis is already better than Kyle Trask, so how can that be possible? Why was Kyle Trask a second-round pick again? That never made sense. Like, yeah, he was good that last year, but he never should have been a second-round pick. That was stupid. And in hindsight, it turned out to be pretty stupid. I guess the Bucs could work for Malik Willis. I don't think they're attached to Baker Mayfield. Joe Burrow on the run with a dot to Greg Dulcich to end the third quarter. Dallas is right back ahead. What if the Lions draft me in the first round after my visit to ASU? Hashtag pleased. Well, then I hope you're good. Jets could work for Malik Willis. Why would they need to give an FU to Zach Milson? They already did. They don't need to give him another one. The Jets already have a young, bad quarterback who has some physical upside. There's no point to have two of them. As a Bucs fan can confirm, not attached to White Winston. Let's not be disrespectful to the famous Jameis. Is Jameis still in New Orleans? Is he just going to be the backup there? Because obviously they're not going to start him. AR-15 is going to bust. Pause. The Raiders could work, but McDaniels is not the brightest not the brightest crayon in the box. But I suppose they could work. The one problem with Caleb Williams on the Bucs is that division sucks. So it might be harder for them to lose games because they play the Saints, Panthers, and Falcons twice a year. Can we please simcast the Eagles game after this? My fascist dad is forcing me to use the restroom. Then why don't you use the restroom now? That shouldn't, take that long. What is your thoughts on the Toronto Maple Leafs? I do not watch hockey, so I don't really have much thoughts other than that I know that the Maple Leafs, don't they, never, win playoff series or something? I can't really give you a good opinion because I didn't watch, but aren't they a meme in that sense? Because they choke in the playoffs? Are they the 76ers of hockey? The Leafs made it out of the first round in 14 years and then lost. Okay. I mean, at least the Sixers make it out of the first round. What's a better example? The Knicks. The Knicks hadn't made it out of the first round in a decade. They're a meme, I guess. Although the Knicks are known for being bad, aren't the Maple Leafs usually in the playoffs and they just always lose? Then with the Knicks, they're usually not in the playoffs. It's different. The Knicks made it out of the first round this year. Yeah, they lost in 6 in the second round. But the point is that they don't make it out of the first round either, except for this year. Top 10 playoff performers: Book, Kimmy, Joker, Curry, Brunson, AD, JT, KD, Embiid, Bam. That seems pretty accurate. I would probably personally have Bron over AD because AD's been inconsistent. But when AD plays well, it seems to generally lead to a noticeable impact for the team. Other than that, that seems pretty accurate. Unless there's someone I'm forgetting. James Harden's also been like AD in the sense that he's had some really good games where he's been the reason why they win, but also he's also wet the bed some games and has been the reason why they lost. Disrespectful to Cody Zeller. What do I think of this? The Lions versus the Chiefs in September. The NFL isn't ready for the Lions to drop 35 in that game. I'm not going to say if we're going to win or not, but we're going to drop 35. Hot take. Dan, that's not even a hot take. Dan was a top 3 quarterback. So by default, he had a pretty big impact. Nice touchdown. I think that's Lynn Bowden with the score. That should punch Dallas's ticket as the number 1 seed in the NFC. Barring some crazy comeback. The Eagles can still make the playoffs pretty easily, but they're going to need some things to happen. Like, ideally, a Dreadnoughts loss, which now Mexico does not have as much to play for, who the Dreadnoughts are playing. So the Eagles are in a little bit of trouble, but they can still easily get in. Can't lose in the wild card if you don't play in the first round. That's true. If only our good friends in Cincinnati knew that. Chiefs win 45-23. I would hope they don't score 45. I feel like whenever people use the argument against the Lions, their defense was the worst in the league last year, I feel like that's kind of lazy. Like, even if statistically we were, the defense was pretty average the second half of the year, and on paper it got dramatically better. So yeah, maybe it's not like elite, but I feel like using the worst defense in the league last year is kind of silly. Now, if we allow 45, it would be because Patrick Mahomes and the offense is really good. That could make sense. But I certainly would hope we don't allow 45. Although, it's easy to make the argument that we got a lot better on defense because we did. But every fan base thinks their team is going to do better because every team got better. Except for maybe the Cardinals. But every team got better on paper, presumably. And obviously for some teams that'll prove to be not true. So it's easy for me to say, yeah, we added Chauncey Gardner-Johnson and Cam Sutton and Emmanuel Mosley and Brian Branch and all these guys to the secondary. But there's also a chance that the secondary underperforms. I would like to think that won't happen, but it could. Bench all my guys just to spite Nick and Nader. I don't think that's entirely fair to do because, had the Eagles won this game, you would have tried. So now knowing this result, you're making a decision. I feel like I can't really, allow that. I think the Ravens got better. I mean, the receiving core is better. That's for sure. We should probably simcast. This game's over. What am I doing? Ochai, Jackson Hayes, LeBron, Cody Zeller. As long as Ochai is number 1. I can't veto it. I'm the commissioner. I can do whatever I want. They got rid of Greg Roman. That's also nice. You've gone 69-50 if you win to. Well, we better win so I can have 69. I would have guessed my record would have been better than that over the last 2 years. I've made it to the playoffs practically every season with the Vikings, didn't I? I made the playoffs with Minnesota at least 3 to 4 times. And then with the Bengals, I've lost maybe 9 games total. Joe Burrow played quite well. He threw a lot of interceptions early in the season, but I don't think he has over the last 6 weeks, while Bryce Young was pretty mid. Oh, I thought you were talking to me. Oh, okay. Yeah, I was going to say, because SGYT's mostly been good, but he's also had some years where his team has been bad. So that makes sense. I'm never watching my team in a watch game ever again. Well, you might have to in the wild card round, buddy. All right, we'll do some simcasting. The Oklahoma City-Seattle game doesn't really matter as much. Now that Dallas has officially won. Dallas played 5 watch games this year, maybe 6, and they won all of them. That's really impressive. Hear me out. Shake Milton is goated, and he needs a commercial with him, taco, and sauce. That'd be a great, Mexican place commercial. Or Taco Bell. Has there ever been a Taco Bell commercial with Taco Fall in it? If not, that's just horrible marketing on the part of Taco Bell. So far, so good for Oklahoma City. We'll see if they can sweep Seattle. The only team with rooting interest in this game other than Seattle is probably Mexico City. They are rooting for Oklahoma City to try to give the Golden Eagles a good spot at the 2 seed. Although the difference between the 2 and the 3 seed really doesn't matter all that much because every wild card team in the NFC is good. So Seattle does get the win, so I think this means they will get 2 because they're already 2 and they can't move up to 1. CJ Stroud and Patrick Mahomes are both okay. Oh God, 5 sacks for the sack allowing leader, DJ Humphrey. The Golden Eagle game still matters. Whoa, John Johnson, 4 sacks. Buckner, 3. Frank Jones, 1.5. The Golden Eagles game still matters for the Dreadnoughts. But I feel like we should just knock out most of the important NFC stuff now because we already did the big NFC game. The second game is important for both conferences. But yeah, let's do the Golden Eagles and Dreadnoughts. Why not? Golden Eagles are home. I'm going to check their quarterback depth chart just to make sure there weren't any last-second switches from the game. Good. Don't do Geagles. Make Nick and Ader wait. We're going to do the Geagles because I said so. So if the Dreadnoughts win, they are in. They have 10 wins. If they win, they'll pass the Eagles. It could mean the Eagles are technically out, but technically still have a shot. I'm not entirely sure. As for Mexico, they're pretty much locked into the 3 seed. If the Geagles win, you guys are basically in. And if the Geagles lose, you're basically out. Although neither of those are a guarantee. I would have to check some of the tiebreakers. So you guys are big Mexico fans. Close game so far. Golden Eagles take the lead, but miss the kick. What's going on, Hectavius? They score again. Looking good for Mexico, but it's not over. 1-score game. Let's move slower. Okay, they have it in the red zone. And they will tie it. We're going to hop in and watch. 4:22 to go. A playoff spot is on the line for the San Antonio Dreadnoughts. Why does the stadium look so dark? Eagles and Dreadnoughts fans on the edge of their seats right now. A spot in the playoffs potentially on the line for both of them. The Rams and the Cougars, I'm sure, would also prefer a Mexico win. We're not going to do the Oilers next because I want to save the super important games for the end. Or closer to the end. You know who I'd love for no reason? JT Thor. Just because of his name or because he, can't he, jump out of the gym or something? That's the wrong button. There we go. So far, so good for Mexico. Stetson Bennett goes downfield. It's incomplete. Yeah, we can check the tiebreaker for you guys and the Oilers before we simcast either of your games. 3rd and 8. Stetson Bennett under pressure, and he will be sacked. Who's 13? Might have just made the play of the season for San Antonio. Octave should put me losing and watch games on the Meme of the Year poll. Yeah, but it was funnier last year because it's the first time that happened. Now we should, expect it. Because it always happens. Nearly a what-a-punt, but not quite. Can the Dreadnoughts win this game and punch their ticket to the playoffs? That's not a good start to the drive. Jalen Hurts' numbers today do not look very good. Also, like the Lonnie Walker pickup, because he was on the Supersonics for a little bit last year. He was for a very short time. Found out that Octi had gone 10-7 a lot. That sounds about right with the Vikings. We were never, like, great. I think these Bengals teams are better than any of my Minnesota teams last year. I've won one all this year, and it was the week 1 stream last season against the Cougars, 12-9. What a score. San Antonio's drive goes nowhere, and Mexico City will get another chance to win. Good kick, though. That's a deep one. Need to get on Meme of the Year somehow. They've got 2 timeouts. They can do it in regulation. Out of the 5 seasons in OFL 22, I went 10-7 4 times. That's crazy. I think the first season I didn't make the playoffs. I could be wrong. Why are we winning screen passes? I usually ask the same question about this game. Third and 11. Stetson breaks a sack, and he is still sacked. The Dreadnoughts call a timeout. They want to at least try to win this game in regulation. I went 7-10 the first season. That sounds about right. I feel like the first year I made the playoffs was the season that Malik Willis threw the pick 6 on the first play of the game against Seattle. That was fun. That's crazy. We never finished better than 10-7. Whereas the Bengals, I think we won 12 games last year, and we have 12 wins this year. I could be wrong about last year's total, but I think we were 12-5. We might have been 13-4. My record this year is 12-4 at the moment. Hopefully 13-4. Although our game doesn't really matter other than like slight seeding purposes. Hell, I almost kind of want to lose. I would rather not be the 2 seed because I think like whenever I'm the 2 seed, it's like cursed. Second and inches. Hurts. Is he going to get rid of it? He fumbles the ball. It's picked up by Mexico. If they had returned that for a touchdown, that would have gone crazy. But we're going overtime between the Dreadnoughts and the Golden Eagles. San Antonio fighting for a spot in the playoffs. Tails never fails. You know the drill. Bang! The Dreadnoughts no ball. They choose tails, they win the toss, and they'll get a chance to win the game. See, kids, tails never fails. Except for like 20% of the time, which is still a very good mathematical odds. It is slightly more likely tails fails than the Pistons winning the draft lottery. You need to make an OFL version of the XFL. How would I have time to run 2 leagues, though? Since OFL 22, you've gone 73-44, saying you win today. Out of 7 seasons, you've gone 10-7 4 times and have never made it out of the divisional round. That is correct. Good thing I can go back to OFL 21 and OFL 20 and flex all my rings. Again, like I'm Klay Thompson. But since OFL 22, I've never made it out of the second round. And then this year, I've never made it out of the first round. So for all the coaches who have never been here before OFL 22, which is a lot of you, then you've never seen me out of the divisional round. That's wild. Believe it or not, I've gotten past it before. Will I ever get 8 in Turkey? What reason would the Orbits have to trade you, unless you request a trade? Even so, I mean, I do need receivers, but more so like receiver depth. I have 3 good starters already. I just don't have depth. Little Jaw's turn. Oh, boy. I mean, Little Jaw was solid in OFL 22. Those Bears teams usually made the playoffs, albeit it was only like 2 seasons. Jalen Hurts under pressure, fakes the sack, takes a shot downfield, and it's incomplete. Little Jaw's team last year was the Bears, and this year he is the Jets. It's the yearly Hector downfall. Well, at least you're going to be no lower than like the 3 seed. So, I mean, this game matters significantly less for you guys, especially because Dallas and the Seahawks already won. 3rd and 4, they got the first. That clock is ticking. Even if they only get a field goal, Mexico's not going to get the ball back with a whole lot of time. They are digging away at this clock. They're still moving it. Is it me or... No, it is not just you. The stadium is really dark. I don't know why it's like that. My one advice would be to turn your brightness up. But no, it is not you. I said the same thing when we loaded into the game. 3rd and 4, Jalen Hurts. Another short throw and another first down. And we're at the 2-minute warning. Even if Mexico gets the ball back, it's not going to be a lot of time. And there's a good chance they don't even get the ball back. They should just run the ball. Choose some clock. Force Mexico to burn those timeouts. Third and 3. They've been really good on this drive on 3rd downs. And they get another one to the 1. The Dreadnoughts are a yard away from going to the playoffs. They just need 1 yard. Time to cry. If it makes you feel better, I don't think you're 100% eliminated. But you, probably are. Ooh, big stop. Look at the clock. There's under a minute. The Eagles are probably trying to call into the stadium to get Mexico to use their timeouts. Mexico's not using them. Why? 30 seconds. 3rd and 1. Hurts goes short. Doesn't get it. They're not going to call a timeout. Man, they really do not care about winning this game. What happens if it ties? Then the Dreadnoughts would still get in. Because you and the Dreadnoughts both have 10 wins. So a tie for them is basically a win. They just can't lose. Why is their launch snapper number 69? Is that Goof Booth? No, I have Goof Booth. And Goof Booth isn't a quarterback. He's a defensive lineman. Mexico's trying to ice the kicker. Not really much to ice him from. It's like, they're going for it! Shut the front door! Not this again. 4th and goal, and they get it. That's anticlimactic. So the Dreadnoughts win it, after all, and are going to the playoffs. This is just like when the Rams went for it in the OFL Bowl, the last year of OFL 22, for no reason, and they still got it. All right, so the Dreadnoughts are in, and the Eagles are hanging on by a thread. Take notes, Texans. That's how it's done. We've also seen scenarios where teams should have kicked and didn't that have not worked out. The Texans last year being a very perfect example. Another one, OFL 21. The Colts did it in a playoff game. They didn't get it. They lost, and the team they lost to won the championship. Most of you weren't here for that, but that was almost as funny as the Alexei Smirnoff Hail Mary, which might have been the same season. Actually, I don't think it was. I think the Hail Mary came before that. What's a good playbook for Stetson? Well, what do you want Stetson to do? Do you want him to run a lot? Do you want him to throw a lot? Do you want him to not get degrees a lot? Apparently, there's a rumor that Stetson Bennett never got a degree after being at Georgia for like 7 years. Hopping in for a quick second. Well, I've got some news for you. Maybe it's good. Maybe it's... Oh, you already found out. Yeah, you guys won. All right, so what game do we want to simcast next? Do we want to get through the rest of the NFC other than the Rams? It'll start with the Cougars and the Commies. If the Cougars win, they are definitely in. I do want to check the tiebreaker, though, for these NFC wildcard games. I want to see if these teams have played each other. So we'll start with the Cougars. They beat the Dreads. They played the Eagles twice. Win. And the other team is the Rams. It does not look like they have played the Rams. Okay, so the Cougars had the tiebreaker over two of them. The Eagles, they lost. They beat the Dreadnoughts, although that doesn't matter anymore because the Dreadnoughts are a game ahead of them. They didn't play the Rams. Did the Rams, and obviously they don't have the tiebreaker with the other team, which is the Cougars. Did the Rams play the Dreadnoughts? They lost. Okay. So the Dreadnoughts could climb up to 6 or 5. If I'm an NFC wildcard team, I want to get to 5. How did your game go? So you guys won. Where's the score? 27-13. You scored 10 points within the first 2 minutes. Then the Eagles kind of evened it out, but you took control in the second half. Little Jai, I think, is 4-12 or 5-11. Do the Commies have their pick? I don't think so. I could be wrong. Maybe they do. Actually, I think they do. I think they don't have most of their picks, but I think they do it there first. If you're an Eagles fan, you should probably be rooting for the Commanders, although the Cougars apparently have the tiebreaker, so it might not matter. If you're a Dreadnoughts fan or if you're a Rams fan, you should also be rooting for the Commies for seeding. And the Commies do win. Okay. So this means the Dreadnoughts cannot be any lower than 6, officially. Actually, I think this means the Dreadnoughts are going to be 5th no matter what, because they beat the Rams. What a stretch of about 5 minutes for the Dreadnoughts. They not only get their playoff spot, but they're going to be the 5 seed, where they're going to be better than either Minnesota or Detroit. Probably Detroit. I think the Dreadnoughts are better than the Lions. Tanner McKee's lost a couple games. He had his big win streak, but now he's come back down to earth. The Cougars do have the tiebreaker over the Eagles, so they still should get in, but you never truly know. This gives less margin for error for the Rams as well, so that doesn't hurt them. Okay, so we've gone through pretty much all the important NFC stuff. Except for the NFC North, which the Vikings play the Oilers, so maybe we'll save that. We'll get to the Rams and Actually, yeah, we'll get to the Rams and the Orbits now. We'll wrap up most of the NFC, and we'll see how the Orbits do in a must-win game for them. Siri, give me a number between 11 and 12. 11. That's the Rams. Luca DM'd me what jerseys he wanted. I don't think Bacher is here, but Candy is, so Candy can pick the jerseys for his team. We want the Rams. We're doing the Orbits first, because then they need you guys to win. That's why we're doing them first. Okay, so the Rams, I think, wanted blue jersey, yellow pants. So basically, they're home jerseys. So the Orbits probably shouldn't wear blue. So that kind of limits what you can really pick. The higher number is home. Do we have purple pants? You guys only have black because EA is lazy. So, since the Rams are wearing blue, this is really your only choice. So I hope you like it. The Rams will probably make the playoffs anyway, but they want to guarantee it with a win. The Rams did not play either the Eagles or the Cougars. So the Rams hypothetically could finish below the Eagles and the Cougars, specifically the Eagles, if they lose. Because I think the Cougars are going to be in regardless since they beat Philadelphia twice. But the Rams could finish below Philadelphia. So this is the Eagles' last hope. They need the Orbits to win. If the Rams win, they're good. If they lose, who knows? On the flip side, we've got the Orbits in the AFC. They have to win. If they lose, they're done. It's that simple. For the Orbits, they have to win. They need New England to lose, and then they'll be tied. I think the Orbits would get in, but I'm not 100% sure. I would way rather play the Orbits than New England in the first round, so go Orbits. We'll start with the Orlando offense. I don't think we've watched them this year, so this will be our first look in game of Desmond Ridder, who's had a pretty good season. 5,000 yards, 41 touchdowns. I don't want New England in the playoffs. Well, I have bad news for you. If they're the 7th seed, they have a good shot of beating us. And if they do, then they would play you. Not a bad start for Orlando. The offense trying to get active early. Is Hector a coach? He is the Golden Eagles, who finished 12-5 this year. And last year, they probably had somewhere between 9 and 11 wins. They were the 7th seed. Ridder goes downfield. He's trying to be aggressive, and it's broken up. Now 3rd and 10. Ridder goes downfield again. And it is once again broken up. So now it's time to take a look at the Los Angeles Rams. They're led by Dak Prescott, who has had a very good season, a likely MVP candidate. 5,000 yards, 45 touchdowns with a win. The Rams are in. They would probably get the 6th seed, and they'd most likely see Mexico City in the first round. Rams looking slow and steady first couple of plays. We'll see if they can set the tone here by getting a first down on 3rd and 4. And they do. Sometimes all you got to do on 3rd and short is go short. The Rams have some good players on both sides of the ball. Cooper Kupp at wide receiver. He is very good at football. The Rams coach is Luka, and the Orbits coach is Bacher. Dak takes a shot. Nope. On 2nd down, they don't get much. Madden's favorite play, the good old halfback slip screen, which results in nothing. 3rd and 11, he goes short again. Sometimes on 3rd and short, it's good to go short. On 3rd and long, it usually isn't good to go short. Just a hunch. Are we going to get a what a punt? I think we will. Ooh, what a punt. Down at the 2. Wow, good kick. Let him cook. Fumble. And the Rams pick it up. That looked like a hit stick animation. I think this play is going to stand. And Terrence Steele is hurt. Not a very good sequence for the Orbits, I won't lie. The water punt, the fumble, starting offensive tackle injured. Not good. They're not going to review it. It is a fumble. And the Rams get it at the 5-yard line. All they got to do is punch it in, run the ball a few times, give it to Javonte Williams, and let him go to work. Or Devin Singletary, that works too. Now it's 3rd and goal at the 1. I have a feeling they're going to throw it. That's why I'm not a defensive coordinator. They run it and it works. No, it's Javonte Williams. I thought that was Singletary. He looked kind of short. But Javonte Williams is in for the touchdown. I want to be a coach. Well, we can add you to the waiting list. MP is first. He's going to get his team soon. Then Denmark would be next, and then you'll be after Denmark. So the Rams force the turnover. They capitalize. They're on the board. Joe Mama's not the games, believe it or not. You'd think it would be. So now the Orbits have to rebound after turning the ball over. My mind is blown. A conversion here would be pretty nice on 3rd down for the Orbits. Just try to give them something on offense. Ritter's going to go downfield, and it is caught! A broken tackle, and he is gone! 65-yard touchdown. This game is tied up. The tight end, Adam Troutman. Wow. Well, that's one way to fix the complexion of the game. He mosses the defender, stiff arms another one, and takes it the distance. We've got ourselves a ball game, everybody. Let's see how the Rams respond after that. Holy cow. Am I even in the depth chart? You're their wide receiver 3 and they're a slot receiver. So, yes. Here come the Rams. Their last drive, they scored, albeit because they started at the 5, but they still scored. What round will Yegor Smirnov be taken? Since I'm not making the draft class, I could not tell you. Hector, 60 and 58. I would have thought he would have been higher. He's had a lot of winning seasons. I know he had a couple bad years with the Huskies last year, but I would guess he would have been more than 2 games over. He's going to be the #1 fullback. Give it to him and let him bust through. Pause. Whoa. Dak is 6 for 9. Nice. He only has 31 yards, though, because he's a wuss. Short passes are nice, but, like, every play isn't a good idea. This time he doesn't even pass it. He's sacked by Devontae Wyatt. Since I'm getting a job soon, the recent player you created would still be featured or not. Boomy's making the draft classes, So you would have to ask him. But if Boomy still creates your player, then he can still be in there. As that pass is caught at the 10, now Dak throws a big boy ball and it pays off to a wide receiver not named Cooper Kupp. What wide receiver do they have other than Kupp? Because that was not him. It's like the real-life Rams offense when Ben Skoranek does something, which is pretty rare because he's not very good. But whatever wide receiver would they have? Braxton Berrios. That would make sense. Huskies and Ravens went from 3-14 to 14-3. I remember that. Yeah, the Ravens were really bad the first year, and then they were really good after that. The Huskies were really bad. I didn't realize they were that bad. But yeah, that sounds right now that you say it. As the Rams get the touchdown, it's Braxton Berrios again. Pretty good drive for him, I won't lie. If you started Braxton Berrios in your fantasy championships, 1, you're a sicko. 2, good for you, because that's proven to be a good choice. But seriously, you need some help if you started Braxton Berrios in your fantasy championship. Is Nick the Orbits coach? Nick Bacher is, yes. Which is worse, the Browns 1-11 or 1-31? I can't read apparently. Or you 4-30? Well, probably the Browns because they actually tried to win. There are people on the Browns who get paid to try to win games, whereas you started a kicker. You started Sally at quarterback, so it's not exactly as bad. Braxton Berrios just got that dog in him. Yes, he does. Yes, Nick was your coach with the Cardinals in 21. That's the same Nick. Nice little spin move. Is that our boy Mr. Turkey? Gobble, gobble. He's white, and he looks short. So it probably is. Yes, it is. Hayden Turkey. Gobble, gobble. Sally the legend. You're a real one if you remember Sally. Sally, Dan, and Patrick, the trifecta. All these white receivers. There's so much grit on this field. We have Cooper Kupp, Braxton Berrios, and Hayden Turkey. It's the battle of all the good white receivers. Bunch of guys on this field you'd let your daughter date. First guy in, last guy out. Sneaky athletes, good route runners, high motor guys. So much grittiness here between these two teams. Nickinator coached the Niners last year, and the other Nick coached the Browns. I'd date Jaeger Smirnoff. Me and you both. Let my daughter date. Same thing. You, your daughter. There's not much of a difference. Third and 12. Can the Orbits respond? Normally checkdowns don't work, but this time it does. Dalvin Cook is cooking. Who coached the Cardinals then? Last year, Denmark coached the Cardinals, but the year you played quarterback, Nick Bacher coached the Cardinals. Not Nick the co-commish or Nickinator the admin, but the other Nick. Because apparently having 3 Nicks is not, too many. Turkey's a guy you'd let your wife date. Hayden Turkey is my wife's boyfriend. Great guy. I want the Orbits to lose because I want Bacher to join me in elimination. Well, if you lose, then you'll still be together in elimination. There is a world where the Orbits win this game and they don't get in. There's a very high possibility that the Orbits don't. Because even if they win this game, they're still dependent on the Jets. I don't want to be dependent on the Jets for a playoff spot. My wife left me. I'm very sorry to hear that. You might have been too Russian for her. Ritter on the run, incomplete. I caught Hayden Turkey in my fridge after I got home today. I accidentally nuked my fridge. If we lose, I'll bring the bagel bites. Is that going to be the new mom has the pizza rolls meme? Where OKC's big three is all excited about mom having pizza rolls? 3rd and goal. Dot! I think that's Mr. Turkey. Gobble, gobble, gobble. For the touchdown. This is a good game, and we're tied at 14. The Ram coach is like, what the hell just happened? Did we let so much grit score on us there? So now we're knotted up with 4 minutes left in the first half. Not a particularly good kick return by Mr. Gritty. I think the Orbits has had more sustained drives than the Rams. The first touchdown drive, they started at the 5, and the second touchdown drive wouldn't have happened if not for a 60-yard play. So I feel like the Rams have to show me something here. Roughing the passer on the defense. Not ideal. Cedric Johnson. Thoughts on the Drake May, Jordan Addison, and JoJo Early connection? Put it this way. Whatever your offense is cooking is better than your defense. Rams appear to be moving it so far. Can we sign you and put me at corner? We'll have more grit on the field. Me lining up against Cooper Kupp would be the most Caucasian thing I've ever seen. Dak on the run. He is picked off. I assume that's Cameron Dantzler. And he fumbles the ball. And it's picked up by the Rams. You have got to be kidding me. They turned it over all for nothing. Robert Hunt just said, I don't know about that one, buddy. Pops the ball out, and the Rams are going to get it right back. This game never ceases to amaze me. That play might be a late Meme of the Year candidate. Especially if it has a big impact on this game. Most accurate Madden gameplay. Average OFL moment. OFL in Ohio. That's a good one. It's almost like the Rams just got the 15 yards they were trying to get all along. And there's Cooper Kupp. Most accurate Dak pass. Dak can't go without throwing his weekly interception. Do I live comm or script when I commentate over the Titans and Knicks series? No. I don't live comm and I don't script. I do post commentary, so like I know what's going to happen, but I don't like script it. It still kind of goes with the flow. Although I also have a general idea if it's a big play, what I'm going to say. As the Rams get the touchdown after all of that, I think that was Hunter Henry. Doesn't Hunter Henry have like a bazillion catches this year? If there isn't at least 5 fumbles, it isn't Madden. Did we win? You guys have not played yet, so we don't know. How does it feel to steal Mr. Hurricane's franchise? Actually, he stole mine. I did it first. So in an ideal world, we don't pick the same team next year. But unfortunately, I don't personally know him, so I can't get inside information. But technically, he stole mine. Although, since he probably has no idea who I am, he had no idea that I picked the Titans. And even if he did, would it stop him from choosing them? It wouldn't stop me if I was him. The Cowboys are 13-4, I think. Yeah. Well, personally known Mr. Hurricane, then. Well, that's a lot easier said than done. What city are the orbits in? They are in Disney World, Orlando. Mickey Mouse Land. Third and 15. The orbits will not get it because they're going back to the checkdowns. If we get a rain, is it still Mickey Mouse? Yes. I want to move the team to Canada. We don't have a Canada team this year, do we? No. We have the Thunderbirds in 21. We had the Huskies last year. But we don't have one this year. Nick has gone 66 and 54. That sounds about right. The Snowhawks are from Portland. So not quite Canada. But close. They're probably the closest. Well, I guess technically Detroit would be the closest because they're like right next to Toronto. When we win a ring, is it Mickey Mouse? The first one was. Last year when you won, it wasn't. Mounties would have been my Relove the Mounties sound fun, but I also don't know if I want to relocate. Don't they have cool colors? Like, I think they have, like, red, blue, and yellow. I think their jerseys are cool. Monarchs are the furthest north. Yeah, I think you're right. I don't know the exact, like, latitude of London compared to, like, the most northern places here, but that sounds accurate. Another fumble, and it's picked up by the Orbits. They don't have any timeouts, though. So, obviously they're going to try to score if the play even stands. They have it at the 38, which it will stand. Their best bet is to either go to the sideline or just go for the end zone. Do not go short. Jesus Christ, Desmond. They should have enough time to spike it and kick. Or just kick. I guess that works, too. I don't think it's realistic to get the field goal unit out that quickly, but they are going to do it. And the kick is good. All right, 21-17. This has been a ball game. This has been a fun one. Y'all just leave the condoms to me. We sure will, bud. Alexei Smirnov's road to a Mickey Mouse MVP, carried by his playmakers, played in a weak NFC West. Was anybody else good in that division? That was the year of the Snowhawks were Seattle. And they were, like, pretty mid. I don't remember how good the other teams were. Scored 3 points in the playoffs. This MVP will not count in my book. How many yards do you have? I know you have 2 catches. At least. They both went for probably somewhere between, like, 15 and 25. So, realistically, 2 catches, 40 yards, and a touchdown. I am cooking. Let him cook. The Rams are cooking too, kind of, considering they're winning. There's been a lot of offense, and both teams have turned the ball over twice as well. This could end up being the most fun game of the year, ironically enough, where the winner potentially clinches a playoff spot. I say potentially because, again, the Orbit still needs some stuff to happen. Rams are looking good on this drive. So far, so good. I've cooked more than Cook himself. That's true, because Dalvin Cook fumbled it on the 5-yard line. So, he hasn't really cooked. Dak is sacked. Is that... I was going to say Sam Williams. Is Sam Williams on the Orbits? Did the Jets trade him? I don't remember the Jets trading him, but I don't know who else that would be. Do we want the Rams or the Orbeez to win? I would rather the Orbeez win because I don't want to play New England in the first round. I would rather play, ideally, the Orbits. If not them, who else would our candidates be? Either the Ravens, the Texans, or the Oilers. I feel like I've been like low on the Ravens to where if we played them, it would be bad karma and we would lose. I don't really want to play Houston. I think they're quite good. I would put them with New England. And then the Oilers, I think we can beat the Oilers, although they are a good team as well. But I like our chances against them a little bit more. Oh, Scooby Williams. I forgot they had him. You're right. That's Scooby-Doo. I trust Octi with my life. Well, that sounds like your first mistake. They're faking the kick! And it does not work! Okay, did not see that one coming. Why would they do that? Why not just take the 7-point lead? No reason to be cute. I want to give Octi a smooch. Are we sure this isn't Candy's burner account? You won't beat us. If we're the 2 seed, you're right. We won't beat you. But if we're lower, then maybe we will. Most realistic Madden play calling. Who let them cook? So now the Orbits could take the lead after all that. Oh, I thought that was a pick 6. Instead, it is a touchdown, but for Orlando. The Orbits have taken the lead. Hollywood Brown with the touchdown. That should have been a pick 6. The corner read the play perfectly and just didn't get the ball. Then Hollywood breaks a tackle and he takes it all the way because no one's going to outrun him. Well, there you go. Orlando is now winning. OFL teams try not to be dumb for no reason. Impossible. It's not my burner, it's my dog. I taught him well. Buffalo Bill legend Marquise Brown and Pittsburgh Steeler legend Marquise Brown. Don't even need grit to get touchdowns. Not Hollywood. Hollywood just needs speed and broken tackle ability. That was a combination of Greg Roman and Joe Lombardi's play calling on the fake field goal. Minus like not being a screen for Joe. I'm actually Octi's burner. Yeah, sorry guys, we're the same person. I edited Alexei Smirnov in OFL 21 to make him really good. That's why he won a bunch of MVPs. I'm here to stroke his ego. Maybe not the only thing you're stroking. Doink, 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 incomplete. Hollywood's dad definitely has grit. It's because he's adopted. Hollywood's cousin also has grit. Man, Octi runs a great league. Matt Corral's the MVP. No one else makes better batting content. The meat riding goes crazy. Mr. Hurricane ripped him off. He deserves to be sued. Yeah, I'm going to pick Mr. Hurricane for picking the same team as me. When, again, he probably has no idea who I am to begin with. No one meat rides harder than Octi fans. You might be onto something. There are certainly some people who fit that. I cried tears of joy when I hear an OFL stream is planned. Jordan Addison is the second best year 2 receiver. Now the meat riding has gotten out of hand. Has bro never heard of Jackson Smith and Jigba? Or Quentin Johnston? Or A.T. Perry? Or isn't Zay Flowers doing really well in Detroit? What about him? You can't tell me that's not the games. It's the games, but like the games isn't as annoying. Octi gave Mr. Hurricane the idea for the Kalispell series. I did. I used to know him, and then we forgot that each other existed. True story. Hollywood's cousin will get arrested in Week 7 for trespassing the Ravens facility. I'm surprised he hasn't been trespassing there already. Jordan has been the second best this season out of them. Zay Flowers has been really good in Detroit, though. I had a dream Octi was a beautiful princess. Then you woke up and it wasn't a dream. I just despawned for a year. Oh, okay. Rams get stopped. What do you do on 4th and inches? If he kicked the field goal earlier, it would be an easier decision. Oh, they're going to kick anyway. Okay, never mind. You know, if you kicked the field goal earlier, though, you'd be winning. I would have probably gone for it. But, whatever. They get it. They tie it. Then I woke up and saw Octi in a wig. That must be a pretty long wig. Watch it be a fake. I would have died if they faked it again. On the last fake, it was a 4th and 4, and they still lost yards. So that would have been really stupid. Because on 4th and inches, all you got to do is gain positive yardage, and they didn't. What did you miss? You've missed quite a bit, but you have not missed your game. So that's here towards the end. I would definitely run a play action on 4th and inches. I'm not that stupid. I'm not a play action guy on 4th and inches. I mean, my play calling isn't ideal, but I'm not that crazy. Then Octi said 50 racial slurs as a woman. Oh. Okay. Woman Octi must not be the best. Put it that way. My idol, Octi. If I'm your idol, then I'm a little bit concerned. I appreciate the compliment, but I have some concerns. I can imagine Octi saying slurs. Okay, well, this got weird fast. This game is lit. This has probably been the most exciting game, really, of the season. There's been no shortage of action. I don't support equal pay. Okay. My idol, Octi, became the next coming of Hitler. Oh, God. That's not good. Little Jaw, Young, and Child are not slurs. I thought Little Jaw was a slur. Desmond Ridder has to get rid of it. They are in field goal range, so unless they turn it over, which, I mean, both teams have twice, but they should be able to score here. Then Octi made gas camps for Hector fans. Jesus Christ. Is it like me Octi or woman Octi? Woman Octi doesn't sound too nice. 3rd and 10. Ridder has all day. He could have ironed his favorite shirt in that pocket. He had so much time to throw it, and it's still incomplete. He still threw it to the other team. Lucky it was dropped. So the Orbits are going to kick. They'll take the lead. Then Octi burned the children of Raven fans. Based Octi in that case. Good. I think those Ravens fans would rather that than watching Justin Fields for 17 games a year. I'm kidding, mostly. Although Justin Fields' numbers are a lot better than I thought. If I go 9-8, I see the season as an L. If I go 10-7, I see it as a W. Well, I have good news for you, buddy. You're playing the Columbus Explorers this week, so you should be fine. Lions and Vikings are not clinched. That is correct. If the Lions win or the Vikings lose, keep in mind Minnesota plays a good team, Detroit plays a bad team, then the Lions would win the division. Then he did a gritty over a starving Bengals fan. And then I gave him tickets to our wild card playoff game as the 2 seed, where the only ones starving after that game will be us. Starving for a playoff win as we'll be 0-3 with the number 2 seed, losing to the 7th seed 3 years in a row. This is like the one thing that I was against with the 7th seed being added to the playoffs in real life, is it's kind of unfair to the 2 seeds. And here in OFL 23, that has completely screwed me over. Not only did I lose a first round bye twice, but I didn't even make it to the second round because of it. So thanks a lot, NFL. I really appreciate it. Orbits get the stop. They'll get the ball back with the lead. They can win the game right here and keep their playoff hopes alive. He died in the crowd because the playoff game got nuked. Maybe you should have just been the 1 seed. Yeah, but that's a little bit challenging when you had the 15-1 super team Buffalo Bills. So there's only so much we can do. See, we should have been watching the Orbits all year. I mean, you make a point. We might get to watch them again in the playoffs. Even with a win here, it's still pretty unlikely. But it is possible. There's a world where both of these teams get in the playoffs, and there's a world where neither of them get in the playoffs. Chances are neither of those things happen. I think it's more likely they both would get in. Actually, no, it might be the other way around. But chances are one of these teams will get in, so presumably the winner. Or presumably the Rams, because they have a good chance even if they lose. And the Orbits don't have a good chance regardless. It gives the 9-8 Steelers a chance to make it as the 7th seed. Yeah, the 9-8 Steelers who really deserve it. As Ritter's picked in the end zone by Micah Hyde. Hide your kids, hide your wife, because Micah Hyde's coming to town. If you hide your wife, because Micah Hyde is coming to town, then that would make sense. Pause. So now the Rams get another chance. You know, if they kicked the field goal earlier, it would have been tied. Not exactly so easy for them anymore, is it? You scare me. Good. That means that my presence is intimidating. Third and 8. He throws it into the grass. They're going to probably have to punt it. No, they're going for it. So they don't really trust their defense. They're putting all their eggs into this drive's basket. Bold. And it does not pay off. Only so much grit could have caught that pass, as Braxton Berrios cannot hold on. So the interception actually turns into kind of the good thing for Orlando, because they move closer to the end zone. And they chew clock. Cream team or skirt squad? Or squirt squad, I can't read. How about or? Two-minute warning. Can the Orbits hold on and keep their hopes alive? And also keep the Eagles' hopes alive, too. I feel like if the Orbits win, there's definitely more chaos in both conferences. So that's another reason to root for them. Because I like chaos. Rams got to call their timeouts. If the Orbits get this 3rd and 5, then it really won't be looking good for them. They've ran the ball 5 times today. I feel like I'm watching a Bengals game of how little they're trying to run the ball. And it's incomplete. The Rams are going to get another chance. Convince Mike Tomlin only as Matt Canada so he can prove he can have a winning season with anyone as their offensive coordinator. Mike Tomlin's just doing side quests at this point. He already has his ring. He's already has the longest streak for most winning seasons in a row, or non-losing seasons. He's just doing side quests. Let's see if the Rams can respond. They've got another opportunity. This will probably be their last chance. Again, they can still get into playoffs with a loss, but it's not as simple. Then Woman Octi died, and Little Jaw's nightmare was over, and he woke up. Thank God. We don't need Woman Octi terrorizing us. Simcast, I need to touch grass. You should touch grass anyway. Watch. Dake is going to sell. Ah, yes. Good old Dake Prescott. What a guy. And his heart was 3 sizes that day. But then I ran for president. Oh. Okay. Woman Octi just sounds like Packers fans. I hope Woman Octi isn't one. That'd be worse than anything Woman Octi's done so far. Now I feel like I'm going to have a dream with Octi actually in it tonight. Hopefully it's a good dream. Dak is going to launch one downfield. It's caught, but out of bounds. Thoughts on a political science degree? What does political science even teach you? Like the science of politics? There's Cooper Kupp. Whole lot of grit. Zach Allen's hurt. The Orbit's got to call a timeout. Stop the clock. What if Woman Octi had short hair? That's an interesting twist. Denmark, when are you giving us a tour of your mansion? Octi, choose my major. Do I want to torture you or not torture you? I'm going to give you one of those hard science ones, like biochemistry or whatever, to make you suffer. Civil engineering, that sounds hard. Engineering's like math and stuff. That's not easy. And my university has to be in Canada. Well, here's the problem. I don't know any Canadian schools, so kind of out of luck. Adult film degree, yes. Rams are down to one timeout. Dak throws it in the back of the end zone. I'm hard. Nice. Civil engineering's like building roads. Okay, so math and engineering and stuff. Are the Rams going to call a timeout? They will with 20 seconds. They're out of timeouts. Do not let the ball go in the field of play. That should be the goal. You got 4 chances to score a touchdown. There's no excuse for them not to score. You've got 4 opportunities. Just don't put it in the field of Jesus Christ. They're going to have time for 1 play. Or no, that was a quick no huddle. Dak is alone in the backfield with 5 seconds left on the clock. He's going to run with it, and he's going to be sacked. And this game is over. The Orlando Orbit survive in the game of the year. 30-24. Dak Prescott sells at the end. Am I watching a Dallas Cowboys playoff game? So the Orbits are alive a little bit longer. In the NFC, the Rams don't clinch, and thus the Eagles are alive for a little bit longer. So now the pressure goes to New England. We might as well do them next. Desmond Ridder was good. Dak he wasn't bad, but at the end he sold. This was definitely the most exciting game of the year. Wow, what a thriller. Am I watching an Octi playoff game? I think you are. All right, so we're going to do New England and the Jets, and then that really just leaves us with the NFC North and the rest of the AFC. Or at least the relevant AFC games. Who's home in the Jets game? The Jets are home. We will user the Jets. So the Orbits need the Jets to win. I want to check the Orbits and Patriots tiebreakers, because I don't know what that is. Orbits lost. Okay, they split. What's the next wildcard tiebreaker again? Is it conference record or division record? I would assume for a wildcard spot it'd be the conference. Yes, best win-loss percentage in conference games. We'll check with the NFC too. Okay, so we can look at no, we can do AFC East because they're both in the AFC East. Keep in mind, New England has not played the Jets yet. AFC losses 7-4, 6-6. So New England should get this spot anyway, even if they lose. Unless Madden pulls a fast one on us, which is very possible. As for the NFC, why don't we take a look here with these 4 teams? Actually, it doesn't really matter with the Dreadnoughts. It more so matters with the Rams, the Eagles, and the Cougars. Keep in mind, the Cougars are already ahead of the Eagles because they beat them twice. Where's the NFC? There it is. 7, 8, 8. So the Eagles and Rams are tied again. Best win-loss percentage in common games. I don't feel like checking that. The Rams were higher than the Eagles originally, so that makes me think it would be the Rams. but I'm not entirely sure. So New England technically should get the spot here regardless. I wasn't paying attention. Good, because I forgot to do the AFC South stuff now that I just realized it. So we'll do that after this game. I don't know who I should root for here because like I don't want to play New England. I'd rather them not make the playoffs. But if they lose, then that means they'll probably get 7. I feel like it's less likely they get 7 if they win. So I feel like I should root for them to win, which it looks like they will. The Orlando Orbits Cinderella run will come to a close as the Patriots win it 49-28. So we now know the 7 teams in the AFC who are going to the playoffs. It's now just a matter of seeding. The defending champions are back. Drake May played really well. So did Josh Allen. Travis Etienne was quite good. D-Hop did his thing. So for a division tiebreaker, I would assume your record within division goes after conference. Welcome to Cancun. That's what the eliminated club is called. Okay, so the Oilers, I'm pretty sure they beat the Texans twice. There's 1. There's 2. Yes, the Orbits beat Houston twice. And they had the same record, right? So that means the Orbits, or not the Orbits, the Oilers are in the driver's seat for the division. But Houston can still win it. Who plays the Titans? The Texans. So the Texans get to play against Matariza, while the Oilers are playing against a Viking team who needs to win. So we'll start with the Ravens, and then the Bills, and then we'll do the last 3 that are really important. We'll start with the Ravens game. I don't think they're home. The Ravens play Portland. If Portland loses, they officially clinch the number 1 pick as well. Unlike last year, they actually had their pick. I think. Baltimore, meanwhile, is playing for seeding. The game hasn't recognized us as the division champs yet, so I would like a little... Oh, we haven't even done our game. I forgot about us. Yeah, we'll do our game soon, too, because our game just affects seeding. But just to make sure we win the division, I would rather the Snowhawks win, but the Snowhawks suck, so I really shouldn't put my eggs in the them winning basket, because I feel like I'm going to be disappointed. Yes. Very disappointed. The Portland Snowhawks are not good at football, in case you didn't know. If they lose, they'll officially finish with the worst regular season record in OFL history, and it looks like they're going to do it. The first team to lose 16 games in an OFL season is the Portland Snowhawks. At least they will get the number 1 pick in this year's draft. How incredibly mid is your team? Your team is 8-9, so pretty mid. And yes, you are out. The Ravens finished 12-5. Justin Fields with another Justin Fields type of game. Efficient, solid, but not a lot of yards. He did run the ball a lot, and well, which I guess doesn't help the running back allegations. All right, we'll do our game next, then we'll do the Bills. I think the Bills game is a little bit more important, not so much for seeding, but more so for, like, historical purposes. The Bills can get the most wins in an OFL season. I think we're on the road, so we'll use the Broncos. Again, we should have the division locked up because we had the tiebreaker over Baltimore. But just to be sure, I'd rather win this game, clinch the 2 seed, even though we're home. Okay, then I'll switch. We're cursed as the 2 seed, so I wouldn't be that upset if we lost. But yeah, actually, I think all the AFC playoff teams are kind of even. So maybe it would be better if we lost. Just so we don't have to be the 2 seed. The one thing I really care about is that everybody stays healthy. No injuries, please. That's all I ask. There's a part of me that's like rooting for us to win, but I know if we do, I'm just worried about the possibility of being the 2 seed. Okay, I would have preferred to be a little bit more competitive than this. Jesus Christ! Okay, we could have played a little bit better than this. Not pretty. So the Bengals will finish 12-5. Unless the game screws us out at the division title, we should get no lower than 3. I think we beat the Texans, so we would have the tiebreaker over them. And I don't think we played the Oilers. I know we beat the Oilers last year. Octi-fraudulent. This game is pretty meaningless for us, so I don't really care. It would have been nice to help Matt Corral's MVP candidate, and he did not in the slightest. So that's unfortunate. But again, this game doesn't really matter, so it's not that big of a deal. We're getting our home loss out of the way, so we won't do it next week. That's a good way to look at it. All right, we'll do the Bills game now, and then we've got the last 3 games, which are all quite important. So the Bills are playing the 2-win Colts. The Colts are awful. If the Bills win, they will win their 16th game of the year, the most in an OFL regular season ever. And they've done it with only 2 X Factors on their roster. That's impressive. They're probably going to have more than 2 by the end of the season, I would think. What do you think is the biggest blowout ever? Like in the OFL or in real life? In real life, somebody's had to have lost by like 70 before. Did I see your DMF a lottery? Yes. I feel like that'd be like a lot of unnecessary work, though. Of like flipping all the picks. Bills looking good. Can they hold on for what would be their 16th win of the year? It looks like they will. All right, the Bills make history for a good reason, unlike the Snowhawks. Buffalo finishes 16-1, the best record in OFL regular season history. The one bad thing for the Bills is they're going to be the team to beat for everybody. So the Bills got a target on their back. But they also look like the favorite in the playoffs. Although Trevor Lawrence did like double his interception total of the entire season. I don't think he had 2, but he did have more than like 4 prior to this week. The Colts, meanwhile, finished 2-15. They will be picking in the top 3 to 4. Maybe even 2. All right, so we've got 3 more games to go, and they're all very important. We got to find out who's going to win the NFC North, and we got to find out who's going to win the AFC South. The Lions are tied with the Vikings, but they have the tiebreaker. The Oilers are tied with the Texans, but they have the tiebreaker. I don't think there's a reasonable way that Detroit or Minnesota can get a wild card spot, so this is it. The loser of that division's not getting in, barring like a miracle. As for the Oilers and Texans, it's not as depressing because they're both in the playoffs already. The Oilers and Vikings game is important for both teams, so we will we'll save that one for last. We'll start with the NFC North and Detroit. What's on the line for you? Along with the division, yes, the Explorers pick is also on the line. Win, I'm in. Lose, you might be out. That is correct. You should win. The Explorers are not very good. But you got to win, most likely. The Vikings game is going to be last regardless. Yes, we'll check draft picks at the end. What are we talking for the top 3? So the Snowhawks will pick 1. The Colts have 2 wins. The Panthers have 2 wins. There might be another team with 2 wins. So this pick is probably going to be somewhere between 4 and 6 if they lose, which they're not losing. What is happening? Okay, Detroit's now playing more as they should. Okay, now they're winning. Okay, Detroit's going to be fine. Or will they? Okay, no, they're fine. Or are they? Hold on. Let's go slower. Okay, there's 3.5 minutes left. They have it at the 50. We should hop in. This is getting close. The Lions ideally would have not made this a game, but it is a game. Shedeur Sanders is making his first start in Columbus. Can he spoil the Lions' playoff hopes away? Detroit can still get in with a loss, but it's no guarantee. If they win, then it is a guarantee. Shedeur Sanders wears number 36, by the way. I don't know how I feel about that. Here's a good run up the middle. I think that's Dameon Pierce, probably. No, it's Isaiah Pacheco. So they have both Pacheco and Pierce. Final play before the 2-minute warning. There's Sam Laporta. Gets it to the 18. Alrighty, 2 more minutes. Can the Explorers spoil the fun, not just for the Lions, but also for Houston's draft pick? Incomplete. Both teams have all their timeouts in their back pocket. All right, now it's 3rd and goal. Here's Sam Laporta, does not get it. So now it's 4th and goal. Obviously, they're going to go for it. From the 3. Shedeur Sanders, it's incomplete. Good play by the defense. So the Lions get the stop. All Detroit's got to do is play some smart ball, and they will go to the playoffs after finishing with the worst record in the league just last season. They got to avoid the safety, too. That's a good start. They get 7. They're 3 yards away from clinching the NFC North. Probably the worst division. Actually, the 2nd worst. Yeah, no, they're not as bad as the AFC West. But still, a division title's a division title. I don't think he got it there, but he's close. 3rd and inches. All they got to do is punch it in. If they don't get it here, they can't go for it, though. That'd be stupid. Throwing it here would be equally stupid. They should just run the ball. Don't get cute. And they're being cute. What the hell? That's such a stupid call. Not only did they not even get it, but the Explorers still have a timeout. That's so dumb. Why would you throw the ball? There's no reason to be cute there. Just run the ball. And if you don't get it, at least you burn a timeout, and then you punt it. But now the Explorers get a timeout. Ay, ay, ay. So the Explorers are going to get another chance with good field position and a timeout. Shedeur Sanders goes downfield. It's incomplete. It's not that the Explorers deserve to win. It's that the Lions deserve to lose. Shedeur's under pressure. Got to get rid of it, and he does. So now it's 3rd and 10. They need 65 yards to spoil the fun for Detroit. It's incomplete again. Lower the pass block. Shedeur's been under pressure the entire drive. On 4th down, season on the line, it is incomplete. And after all that, the Detroit Lions will win, and they will clinch the NFC North with a record of 10-7. So Minnesota's pretty much out. Actually, I think they're definitely out. Are they, though? Actually, no. If Minnesota wins, they could still fight for a wild card. It'd be unlikely, but I think it is actually possible. Because the Rams, Eagles, and Cougars all have 10 wins. Shedeur Sanders in his first start was not great. Caleb Williams also not great, but they still won. So Detroit will play the San Antonio Dreadnoughts in the first round of the playoffs, because I think San Antonio's definitely the 5. We'll do stats and awards and all that at the end. I think we'll do the Texans game next. They will play the punt god, Matt Ariza, and the Titans, and then we'll get to the last game with the Oilers and the Vikings. So if the Texans lose, they'll be a wild card. They'll be probably 6 or 7. If they win, they can still win the division. And they're playing Matt Araiza at QB. So theoretically they should, but if you remember last year, Matt Araiza started the final week of the season at quarterback and won. So it is possible. Who's the NFC 1 seed? Dallas is. They've got that spot locked. I got ball cancer from that stress. I'm sorry to hear that. The Matt Araiza experience is not going quite like it did last year. Texans are steamrolling them. So Houston does their part, and now that puts pressure on the Houston Oilers. They'll have to win to clinch the division. Matt Araiza, disaster class. He's innocent, and all of a sudden he's forgotten how to play quarterback. Lamar Jackson was good, whereas Araiza was not. Better than Tyler Bass, though. I'll give him that. Sean Tucker, pleased. 6 yards a carry, 2 touchdowns. Love to see it. I'd rather not have to play Sean Tucker in a playoff game. That'd make me sad. Oh, my God. Am I... Does that say Rashawn Gary has 9 sacks? When I passed through the offensive lineman, it looked like a 9, but I assumed it was just like a 3. No, that's a 9. He allowed 9 sacks. So Rashawn Gary has like 29 on the year now. Oh my God. Good Lord, 9? The record is 7. He not only broke the record, but he shattered it into pieces. And Jedrick Wills allowed all 9 of them. That's a Meme of the Year candidate for sure. Not only that, not only has Rashawn Gary broken the single sack record for a game and season, wait, he has 32? I thought he had 29. I know who I'm voting for MVP. 32. That is ridiculous. 32. I'm just going to say right now, I'm voting Rashawn Gary first place for MVP. I'm sorry. 32 is ridiculous. Oh my God. Okay, let's get to the Oilers and Vikings game. The funny thing is Gary switches sides, and Jedrick Wills still allowed all 9 of them. Goodness. Oh my Lord. When we were passing through the sack numbers, it looked like a 9 for Jedrick Wills, but I assumed there was no way. I thought it was a 3, which is still dreadful. Oh my Lord. I don't even know what to say about that. So that'll bring us to the final game, the Oilers and the Vikings. If Minnesota wins, they still have a shot at a wild card spot. If they lose, they are out. As for the Oilers, if they win, they clinch the division. If they lose, they'll be a wild card. I don't want to play Rashawn Gary in the first round of the playoffs, so I would rather the Oilers lose. I do not want to play Rashawn Gary. He is going to turn J.C. Latham into a turnstile. So go Vikings. I still cannot believe that. 9 sacks is ridiculous. Close game here. Minnesota has the edge. Please hang on. I do not want to play Rashawn Gary in the first round. Please. Whoa, 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 whoa. Okay. I did not mean to do that. So the Oilers got the ball back quick, and they scored to tie the game. So it looks like we're probably going into overtime. Minnesota does have 3 timeouts. Yeah, Gary clearly did not hear that the punt god was innocent. Clearly. Okay, they're not even going to try to score. So we're going into overtime. I don't want to play the Texans in the first round. Please, Minnesota, just hang on. Hey, Oilers. Have you ever heard of heads on the coin? You should choose that. Heads, I can't think of a rhyme. It is tails. Ha! It worked! My ploy worked! Minnesota wins the toss. Tails never fails, suckers. So Minnesota's going to start with the ball. I big-brained the Oilers into picking heads. All right, Tua, I need you here. Do you want the Vikings to hang on? I do. There's a good shot even if the Oilers lose, then the Texans win the division. Even if they win this game, even if they lose, there's still a shot we'd see Rashawn Gary in the second round anyway. But I just want to win one playoff game this year. Oh Lord, Tua turned the ball over, turns it over. And the Oilers are going to get the ball at the 26. Ashton Davis with the interception to likely win the division for the Oilers. Tua's really not only just living up to his name, but he also underthrew it. That's the most Tua thing we could have gotten. And then Isaiah Thomas fumbles the ball. The Oilers pick it up, but now they might not be so much in field goal range. Now they're in fringe range. So this changes some things. Or just give the ball to Jonathan Taylor and let him go to work. Okay, the sack proves to do nothing. If Jeremiah Trotter's my linebacker in a 4-3, he's in coverage, yes. Coverage and sometimes run stopping, but he's not usually an edge rusher. IT's incomplete. Remember, all the Oilers need is a field goal. So they don't need a touchdown. So Tua said, F it, I'm just going to launch it. That would make sense if it was a third down, but that was the first play of the drive. Maybe set the tone by trying to run the ball or do something simple. Not go deep and underthrow the receiver by 10 yards. 3rd and 7. It's a screen. Jonathan Taylor's wide open room ahead of him. Can he score? He will. The Houston Oilers have clinched the AFC South. So the Oilers are hosting a playoff game. The combination of Pepper Jack and Isaiah Thomas send the Oilers to the playoffs in their second season together with the tiebreaker over the Houston Texans. So the Texans will be 6 or 7. So we have to play the Texans or New England. It's been real, guys. I think our streak might be continuing. The two teams I did not want to see. Who would I rather play, the Texans or New England? Probably, we already lost to New England and watched this year. But I do not want to see the Texans. Yes, this was without a doubt the stream of the year. This has been a total blast. We've had some wild stuff. From this game to the overtime finish with the Dreadnoughts and Golden Eagles, to the Rams and Orbits game, to Rashawn Gary just completely shattering every sack record. So we are now done. We don't have any more games. Correct. The regular season's over. Nobody has control anymore. So what we think is going to happen, Bengals get the division. Ravens are going to get 5. The Ravens are going to play the Chargers. And then we will be 2 or 3 with the Oilers. What is the seeding tiebreaker? Because we did not play the Oilers this year. Oh, wait, no, the Texans are 12-5 too, so maybe they get 5. Please, God, give the Texans 5. Okay, so New England's definitely 7. New England's 7. Did the Texans and the Ravens play each other? I don't think they did, because I don't think our divisions played each other. I know we played Houston, but that's because we both finished first. Let's check the NFL seeding tiebreakers. I assume for the Texans and Ravens it would be in-conference record. The Texans finished 7-5. The Ravens finished 9-3. God damn it. So that means the Ravens are 5. So the Ravens will play the Chargers. As for us and the Oilers, who would get 2 and who would get 3? So in the AFC, Wait, where's AFC? Here it is. We also went 9-3. They went 7-5. Okay. As for division, 4-2, 5-1. So we had the tiebreakers over them both ways. So that should mean we get 2. We would play New England, and then the Oilers would play the Texans. Ooh, I kind of want to watch this game. So that's what the AFC should look like. As for the NFC, it gets a little more weird. Dallas is 1, Seattle's 2, the Golden Eagles are 3, the Lions are 4, the Dreadnoughts are 5, and we've got a two-way tie with these two. The Cougars are going to be ahead of the Eagles no matter what. So I would guess it would be Cougars 6 and Rams 7, but it could be the Eagles is 7, but I'm not really sure. So let's find out. Moment of truth. Let's see if everything I said comes true. Normally Madden's good with the tiebreakers. All right, here we go. Okay, mostly accurate. The one thing that isn't true is that the Rams get 6 and the Cougars get 7. But other than that, everything's correct. So we get the 2 seed. Help me God. At least we don't have to play the Texans. There you go. The Eagles are indeed out. We've got the Bengals and Patriots, Oilers, Texans, Chargers, Ravens, Seahawks, Cougars, Golden Eagles, Rams, Lions, Dreadnoughts, with the Bills and Dallas as the number 1 seeds. All right. So Madden did get the tiebreakers right for the most part. Actually, for, like, all the part. Because the NFC wildcard was just kind of a big, like, mishmash. So I'm not entirely sure how that works. So I'll trust that Madden got it right. As for draft positioning, the Snowhawks will pick 1, Panthers and Colts at 2 and 3, Texans via Columbus at 4. I'll show everybody's picks individually, but this is the order by team. Did I fix the one thing that I think Danny needed me to fix? I think he did. So that should mean that all of these picks are accurate, bearing some unforeseen mistake. What's our number with the Monarchs? 11. I don't think these numbers are always updated, though. I think the pick numbers are usually like a week behind, so they might not be right. I'm not entirely sure, but this is what you got for now, folks. Chargers have a lot. Holy cow. Did that say the Colts have 3? Yes, so that means Carolina would pick 2. The Commanders do with their pick, number 9. Made that trade at year 1 at like the start. What did you give up for that pick? Because clearly it's turned out quite well. Everybody was so convinced their teams were going to be good. It was all the bad teams who gave up their draft picks. Karlaftis. Yeah, that did not exactly work out, considering George Karlaftis is not even on the Explorers. So they traded a top 4 pick for 1 year of Karlaftis, just for him to walk. And they get nothing back. And instead, Karlaftis signs with a division rival. That's why you don't trade your picks, kids. Seattle is 2 late 7s. Exciting. I don't think there's any team who has no picks. There's teams who have close to none. Steamers only have... They have 4 over the next 2 years. Steelers have 3 1s. Texans have 2, including number 4. How many 1s do the Raiders have? They have, at least probably 3? Yes, including their own, which is quite high. And then they have the Rams in Seattle, which are not as high. So for stats, we're going to go through every team individually quickly. Send it to your DMs. Okay, cool beans. We'll do every team individually kind of fast, and then we'll do by league. So here are the Bengals. Houday. Only 1,000-yard receiver. I guess Bateman would have been if we didn't trade him. Okay, so the Texans trade was a first-round pick and Karlaftis, along with some late-rounders, for a 2, a future 1, which ended up being the 4th pick, and a future 3rd. I feel like at the time people didn't like that trade for Houston. I could be wrong about that. And now, here we are. That trade has been a fleece for Houston. We'll do award changes after we do, or award races after we do stats. LaVisca did get over 1,000. Good for him. Chargers had 3,000-yard receivers, although one of them was only here for half the year. You don't need to list your team. We're doing every team in order. They said Karlaftis was going to be so good, and they were scared I was trading my first pick, which, again, yeah, that pick was quite high since you guys lost in the AFC Championship. So basically, you gave up the 28th pick and 1 year of George Karlaftis for the 4th pick and multiple day 2 picks. So that ended up working out quite well for you. Did we end up having the most sacks in OFL history? I would say by far. Brees should be like an 89 to 90. That seems right. That's probably around where he is anyway. He's probably not going to get like a whole bunch of XP after the year because he didn't do anything like spectacular. So he's not going to like make a Pro Bowl or anything. Joe Burrow only threw 14 picks. I guess that's what happens when you don't turn the ball over the last third of the year. The second, I ended up trading for Cam Curl, who was really good. So, to update it, 1 year of George Karlaftis and like the 30th pick for Cam Curl, pick 4, and a 3rd. Not bad. Would I rather have picked 24 or 3 seconds? It depends on where the seconds are. If it's like 3 late seconds, then at least in OFL, I would rather the first. In real life, would I rather like 3 picks in the 50s or 24 in real life? Probably 3 picks in the 50s. Although I'd have to look at like the draft pick trade value chart. But in OFL, I'd pick the 1. I've come a long way since Mike Evans. Yes, you have. That trade was not good. But, see, younger, newer GMs, people can improve. You have Little Jaws, Washington's, and your own. So that's 2 early seconds. So I'm picking the 2s. Jedrick Wills is more impressive. I was looking at the screen. I think that was sent like 10 minutes ago. I was because like on my TV screen it shows like the chat. I think the chat's behind, and I don't remember reading that message, so that's why I pointed it out. Myles Garrett, 24.5 sacks. Give me 48, 59, 61 over 24. In real life, yeah, I'd probably pick that combo. In the game, I feel like I'd pick the 1, although it's close. Sticking to a player is a lot less stressful, or maybe not stressful is probably not the word, but a lot less challenging, put it that way. The Jets' leader in sacks had 3. Little John, I think I know what you need to address in the draft. And it starts with the letter D. Is Osa still the greatest trade tree of all time? Probably. don't know what's worse. Your leading pass rusher having 3 sacks or your highest rated defensive player beating Jordan Fuller. .22 sacks allowed for DJ Humphries. I'm excited to see Jedrick Wills' number, though. After adding 9. Rashawn Gary probably had more sacks in, like, one individual quarter than the entire, like, everybody on the Jets did, like, this whole year. That's crazy. Rashawn Gary had tripled the amount of sacks today that anyone on the Jets had the entire year. If you were to, like, average it out, 17 times 3 is 51. So it would take Tyree Wilson 51 games to get 9 sacks. The same amount that Rashawn Gary did in one game. And again, Tyree Wilson led the Jets. Everybody else had less. Do I think Madden will be kind enough to add the flag football to the Pro Bowl? Did we do the orbits? I might have accidentally skipped them. No, I did the orbits. I'm already here. We'll do it again. Yeah, I definitely did the orbits, but whatever. We're already here. 800 downs versus like 40. Exactly. That still blows my mind. Quinn Ewers had a touchdown to interception ratio of 34-9. I'm sorry, Quinn Ewers. I was not familiar with your game. His completion percentage was booty cheeks, and he threw for under 4,000 yards, but I did not know his ratio was that good. Panthers leader in sacks at 5.5. Better than the Jets, I guess. At 3,999. It's under 4,000, isn't it? Zion had 15 sacks as a rookie? Holy smokes. Did not know he was that good. I knew he was good. He was like the leader for the Rookie of the Year, but I did not know he was that good. Justin Fields threw for 3,100 yards, being the starter for the whole year. That's insane. I mean, he was efficient, but they didn't ask him to do a whole lot. I mean, they won 12 games, so they're not complaining. Who's the best quarterback from your draft class? So the candidates will be IT, Bryce Young, CJ Stroud. Would anybody else be in that discussion? Probably not. I would say they're all pretty close to each other. I mean, IT's made the playoffs, the other two haven't. But do we want to use QB wins? There's Frank, 8 sacks. Improvement. Got a few more teams for team stats, and then we can go through the entire league. Crazy, I was the only good user quarterback. How many other user like starting quarterbacks are there? You got Mercy Mercado, who's mid. Dak Jones, who's awful. How many other user starting quarterbacks are there? I don't think there's many. I think a lot of them are backups. Samson Ebukam had 16 sacks. He had some crazy games this year, so I shouldn't really be surprised. Sean Tucker, pleased. 4.3 yards a carry. Flip it around for number 34. Good stuff, Sean. 32 sacks. That blows my mind. I cannot wait to see the Jedrick Wills number. The over-under, he had to have allowed double digits this year, so it's going to be at least 20. 14, oh. So Jedrick Wills was good this year. He only allowed 5 sacks through the entirety of the year. And then he allowed 9 right at the end. I don't think Jedrick Wills knew that Matarazzo was innocent either, clearly. All right, now we'll do the entirety of the league. Who with the highest passer rating? Probably Dak or Lawrence. Trevor Lawrence it is, comfortably. You got Dak, Lamar, Ritter, Tanner McKee, and Jaron Hall are surprisingly high. And then the worst among starters is Kirk Cousins. Makes sense. Josh Jacobs wins the rushing title again. I think he won it last year, too. He also won the Offensive Player of the Year last year, and he could certainly win it again. As for touchdowns, David Montgomery had 24. Why'd LeVar only throw for like 30 yards? Is his longest pass? Oh, wait till you see the rushing. Saquon Barkley's longest was 11. 15, 10, 10, 10, 11, 9. I love this game. Hunter Henry led in receptions. The yards leader was Stephon Diggs, and he didn't even play in the last game. I know it says he did, but he didn't actually play. Narrowly edging out Devontae Adams. Devontae did lead in touchdowns. Most sacks was DJ Humphries. That makes sense. And then we'll do defense by conference. Sack champ of the AFC was obviously Rashawn Gary with his big old 32. Von Miller comfortably in second. Most interceptions was Cam Curl, Cam Dantzler, and Fred Warner, and Trayvon Diggs, and Darius Slay. Fumble forces 3 for Chase Young, Jeremy Chin, Jonas Griffith. 2 for James Williams, Stephon Gilmore, and Brian Branch. Recoveries, CJ Mosley had 2. As for the NFC, Max Crosby led in TFLs, Garrett led in sacks. Most interceptions was Garrett Williams, Jordan Poyer, Amani Hooker, Travarius Ward, and Foyesade Aloakun with 5. 2 fumbles forced by Aziz Al-Shaair, Josh Uche, TJ Watt, Shaq Thompson, Jerome Baker, Jeffrey Simmons, and Miles Murphy. And then nobody had more than 2 recoveries. Check touchdowns. I assume defensive touchdowns. A number of guys had 1, including Greg Newsome. I remember that play quite well. Josh Allen, that happened in a watch game too. I don't remember if any of these other plays did. I know we didn't have any perfect kickers this year. Usually we do. Except for our Lord and Savior Doug Eddard, but he only started in like 4 games. Worst kicker statistically was Jake Verity. Most punts, Jordan Stout. Least punts among punters, Brian Anger. Kick return touchdowns. A number of guys had 1. Nobody had more. Punt returns. Just Tyreek Hill. All right, so who does the game give the MVP to? Dak Prescott. No Rashawn Gary in the top 10. They give Pepper Jack the Coach of the Year, and that seems fair. Derrick Henry, Offensive Player of the Year, and the AFC Defensive Player of the Year, obviously Rashawn Gary. Who else would it be? Offensive Rookie of the Year, they go with Troy Franklin. And then the D-Roy is Zion Tupula-Fatui. As quarterback, Trevor Lawrence, makes sense. Derrick Henry. Stephon Diggs, okay. Everything seems to be normal here. Lawrence Seymour, can't say I've ever heard of him. My punter only punted 11 times. I thought that was your kicker. How does a team only punt 11 times in 1 year? Huh. Doug Eddard, best kicker. Oh no, I dropped to third! Last week I had 1 and 2 on the list. No! Damn it, Cade York. That sucks. NFC, Devontae Adams, Offensive Player of the Year. Depoy, Myles Garrett. Caleb Williams, Offensive Rookie of the Year. Defensive Rookie of the Year, Mike Oxmall. Story of my life. Dak. Monty. Devontae. The Monarchs are raking in some awards. You would have thought they would have done good this year. Wink, wink. Myles Garrett. TJ Watt. Jordan Poyer. Riley Patterson. Lion legend. Cool. We'll check injuries for the playoff teams, and then... Oh, I don't even check the players of the week. Who's willing to bet it'll be Rashawn Gary for AFC defense? Kyler Murray, Lamar Jackson, John Johnson, and Rashawn Gary. Team stats. We can do team stats real quick. We don't have time for all of them, but we'll do the main ones. So the Rams led in offense. The worst offense, probably the Snowhawks. No, those are Broncos. Snowhawks were last in points. Most points is Seattle. Defense. Bills had the best defense with their 79 sacks. The worst defense, probably the Colts. Yeah, it was the Colts. I do want to check sacks. So the Bills by a lot. Texans climbed up all the way to third thanks to Rashawn Gary. How many teams had less sacks than Rashawn Gary? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I would have expected it to be more, I won't lie. Texans led in third down. Worst third down was the Steelers and the Snowhawks. Fourth down, worst was the Steelers again. Best was the Cougars. 2 points. 4 teams did not convert one, including the Bills. The Vikings never even tried one, while a number of teams were perfect. Red zone efficiency, the Desperados at the highest. At 72%. A lot of these teams are oddly low. Jeez, why was the entirety of the league so bad in the red zone? Worst was Portland. Makes sense. The best defense in the red zone was the Bills. The worst was the Nighthawks. Penalties. Bills had the least penalties in yards. Most is the Jets and the Jets. And then the turnover differential. The Desperados had the best at plus 13. The worst turnover differential was the Niners with 23. They threw 38 interceptions. That's a lot. Probably why we don't punt. Good on third down. That's a good point. Okay, so let's look at the injuries. We'll see if there's anything new for these playoff teams. None for us, thank the Lord. Kenyon Green is hurt for the Bills. That's a starter. Chargers with nothing. Cougars. Ooh, is that new? I think this is new. When did Jair Alexander break his tibia? Oh, this is not new. Okay, I must have just forgotten about it. Dallas still has a couple guys hurt. Jacob Cowan just got injured for the Golden Eagles, and they're already without Quinn Williams. I think this is new, too. Andrew Stuber out for the year. Ramondre Stevenson still hurt for Detroit. Oilers with nothing. Pats with nothing. Rams still have Jalen Waddle injured. Seattle, ooh, that's new. Deebo Samuel's out for the year. That happened this week, right? Yeah, okay, I'm not going totally crazy. So no Deebo for Seattle. Marquez Valdes-Scantling still injured for Houston, and that is it. So Deebo is the big new one. All right, we've done injuries, we've done stats across the board. I think we're good to go. So this is what our playoff bracket looks like. Should be ready for a fun set of playoff games. I don't know when the playoff stream is going to start, but next time around we'll be going through the the wild card stuff. So that'll wrap up the stream. Hope everybody enjoyed. Certainly a fun one. The awards ballot will probably be up tomorrow sometime. So make sure to stay on the lookout for that. And that'll do it. Peace out.